You are standing in a line that seems to never end. Suddenly, someone passes in front of you without even looking at you, without apologizing. Your heart is racing, a heat takes over your cheeks, and the feeling of silent injustice begins to grow. This is a common day-to-day scene, but it has the power to shake your inner peace. Every time someone disrespects you, you have a choice. Either give in to the impulse or rise above the situation. In this video, you will understand how Stoics transform any attack into an opportunity for growth and absolute control. We will apply the Stoic principles to transform these sparks of irritation into an unshakable calm. I will introduce you to 10 quick techniques that will not only make you reflect, but also prepare you for when life tests your patience again. So, adjust the belt of wisdom, because every minute of this journey counts. Let's dive into the Stoic art of self-control. Let's start with the first technique. Keep calm. That is the basis of Stoicism. What bothers us in life is not exactly what happens, but how we react to it. Epictetus, a sage of antiquity, had already understood this. It is our thoughts that disturb us, not the events themselves. But before we continue, don't forget to like the video, subscribe to the channel for more inspiring content. When someone disrespects you, remember, it says more about that person than it does about you. It is her opinion based on the life she leads, not a judgment about her worth. If you can keep that in mind, you will be able to stay firm without letting the other's behavior affect you. Imagine you have a shield, and when hard words are thrown at you, they simply bounce back without hitting you. You choose not to let these words affect you, just as you would delete an unpleasant message without even opening it. You know she's there, but you won't let her ruin your day. The second technique is to make an analysis of oneself. For Stoics like Marcus Aurelius, the key to well-being is in our thoughts. He said that if we want to improve our lives, we must first improve our thoughts. This is simple. Our thoughts shape our day-to-day. In the face of a situation of disrespect, instead of reacting on impulse, pause and ask yourself, is there any truth in what has been said? How can I react in a way that remains true to who I am? This pause is like looking at the situation from above, gaining a clearer perspective. This self-analysis is a powerful tool of the Stoics to ensure that you react with your head, not just with emotions. This allows you to really understand what happened and, more importantly, grow with each experience. It's not just moving on, it's learning a lesson from what happened. Now, let's talk about the third technique. Stop before you answer. Seneca, another great Stoic thinker, understood the importance of this. He said that anger is not just a momentary nuisance, but a bad habit that grows inside us. The Stoics teach that losing patience, especially when we are hurt or angry, only makes things worse. If someone disrespects you, their advice is simple. Don't react immediately. Take a deep breath. Organize your thoughts. This little pause can prevent a reaction you may regret later. Acting calmly and wisely is always better than responding impulsively. There is no need to return offenses with more offenses. By choosing not to respond in a hurry, you keep control of yourself, and your responses reflect who you really are. Taking that pause is not wasting time, it's actually gaining control of the situation. Often, it is this difference that prevents attention from rising and helps to build a more constructive reaction. And now, let's talk about a powerful tool. Fourth technique, empathy. The Stoic sages like Epictetus teach us that happiness should not be sought externally, but within us. How does this help us in the face of disrespect? It's simple. When someone treats you badly, instead of reacting with anger, try to understand what is behind it. Imagine for a moment that you are in this person's shoes, with their problems, fears, and uncertainties. How would you feel? Maybe the person who disrespected you is going through a difficult time, or maybe he didn't even realize the impact of his words. Empathy allows you to see beyond the offense and understand the situation from a more human point of view. In addition to the unpleasant attitude, Stoicism teaches us to understand what is behind it. Something interesting happens when you do this. You start to distance yourself, taking things less seriously. Instead of reacting impulsively, you respond with calm and respect, which is often the best defense against escalating conflict. In this way, you maintain your dignity and demonstrate that it is greater than the present moment. Empathy, in this context, is not only about feeling good for others, it's also a tool of learning and growth. By putting yourself in the place of another, even before an injustice, you gain a higher perspective. You respond wisely and often find common ground, or at least achieve inner peace. This is a Stoic approach to turning challenges into life lessons. Fifth technique, understand one thing. At the heart of Stoicism is the search for virtue. Qualities like wisdom and courage guide us towards a better life. Seneca teaches us that virtue is logic in action, a harmony with the world around us. For Stoics, this is the true richness of life. Now imagine someone disrespecting you. This is the moment your Stoic training comes into play. Instead of reacting with anger or resentment, you turn to your inner compass, virtue. You choose to act in a way that is aligned with your principles. This does not mean to ignore the failure of the other, but rather not let that failure take you away from your path. It's like walking into a storm, but staying focused and determined to keep going. In doing so, you maintain control of yourself and your integrity. Each trial becomes an opportunity to develop your resilience. Stoicism is, therefore, the art of turning difficulties into opportunities, to see beyond the present moment and aim at the bigger picture, becoming the best version of oneself, regardless of the circumstances. The sixth technique teaches us that when dealing with someone who disrespects you, instead of rushing into confrontation, take a step back. Stoics advise us to remain calm, remembering that the problem is of the other person, not yours. Maybe this person has many problems that you can't see. This does not justify your lack of respect, but it may explain your behavior. So when someone attacks you with harsh words, instead of reacting in the heat of the moment, take a deep breath and reflect. This person is probably facing their own battles. Keep your serenity, because that's what gives you control. By reacting with moderation and respect for yourself, you stop the escalation of conflict. The true strength is not to fight back, but also not to allow the situation to dominate you. In short, the strength of Stoicism is to respond to rudeness not with passivity, but with a quiet force. It is from this serenity that comes the true power, the power to keep control of yourself and the situation. Technique number 7 is to deal with situations with humor, but in a delicate way. Seneca taught us that knowing yourself also involves knowing how to laugh at things that don't deserve our offense. And this is where humor comes into play in Stoicism. While self-control is essential, humor can be a powerful tool for relieving tension. When someone is disrespectful to you, the instinct may be to react with irritation or anger. But what if instead you use humor? A touch of intelligence, an ironic smile, or a well-placed joke can often change the course of a negative interaction. Humor should be used with caution. It's not about minimizing disrespect, but about turning the situation into something less threatening, something you can handle with lightness. Using humor is choosing an answer that preserves your dignity and at the same time relieves the environment. It is a form of emotional intelligence that, instead of feeding the conflict, diverts it to a more peaceful outcome. Keep in mind that humor is not an escape. It's a strategy. It is about choosing not to let someone else's negativity influence your state of mind. Technique number 8, raise your borders. Be unshakable as a true Stoic. who knows when and how to raise protective barriers. This does not mean being rigid, but having a quiet strength. Disrespect finds its limit in the serenity of our well-defined limits. You do not need to stand in silence or raise your voice with vehemence. Your serene posture and your firm words are enough to indicate the mistake made against you and highlight the respect you deserve. By doing this, you establish a perimeter of personal dignity, a space where your self-esteem is preserved. Stoicism teaches us to be strong, fair, and courageous. It teaches us to respect ourselves and others, instilling in us the discipline of maintaining our inner integrity and our external posture, regardless of circumstances. By setting these limits, you show that your mind is a fortress, not isolated, but immune to the attacks of unworthiness. This is the essence of Stoicism, knowing how to respect yourself enough to teach others to do the same. Technique number 9, opt for forgiveness. Forgiveness is a noble power. When an affront arises, you have two paths before you, the one of resentment or the one of appeasement. Stoicism, with all its wisdom, teaches us the elegance of forgiveness. Forgive not because another deserves it, but because you deserve peace. Forgiveness is a balm for the soul, a flame of serenity. It is not a matter of concealing the guilt or justifying it, but of freeing oneself from the chains of resentment. The Stoic masters advise us to offer forgiveness as a flower, with discernment, tenderness, and justice. Forgiving is an act of sovereignty over oneself. We do not control the actions of others, but we are the monarchs of our reactions. Choosing forgiveness is choosing to get rid of the weight of anger and, in your heart, decide to continue the journey with lightness and integrity. Stoicism sees forgiveness not as a weakness, but as an expression of strength. It is not a defeat, it is a liberation. It is not abandonment, it is a reward. Forgiveness is the ultimate expression of self-care and personal growth. Embrace it as a path to tranquility, a door to your inner development. Technique number 10, reframe your perspective, broaden your horizon. In the theater of life, Stoicism invites us to choose a place that offers the clearest vision, away from the turbulence of the first ranks. That's what changing perspective means. Marcus Aurelius, the sage of sages, teaches us that life is shaped by the breadth of our thoughts. When disrespect knocks on your door, don't respond immediately. Step back and lift your spirit. This technique is the art of perceiving disrespect, not as an arrow aimed at your heart, but as a light breeze, something insignificant in the vast desert of existence. Think about it. Often, lack of respect reflects more the defects of those who practice it than yours. By taking a broader perspective, you turn poison into vaccine. Choose indifference, forgiveness, or learning, rather than allowing discord to disturb your peace. This expanded vision reminds you to focus your energies on what really matters: your ambitions, your principles, your virtuous actions. Use your strength and time to chart your own path, filled with meaning and satisfaction, rather than wasting it on resentment or retaliation. By applying this 10th Stoic technique, you not only live, you flourish. Not only floats through existence, but it crosses it with depth and fullness, making every day not a battle, but a dance with life itself. So the next time the wind of disrespect blows in your direction, use perspective as an ally. It will help you to maintain balance and react clearly. And remember, Stoicism is the art of governing your emotions, not repressing them. By mastering these 10 Stoic principles, you will be able to face disrespect with serenity and strength. If this approach resonates with you, why not share it with a loved one, a friend, or family member? Sometimes a little old wisdom can light the way for those around us. Don't forget to support us with a like to help us spread these universal teachings. If this is your first time here, sign up and turn on the notifications so you don't miss any of our future lessons in ancestral wisdom. Thank you very much for joining us. See you soon for a new philosophical exploration. Meanwhile, continue your journey through the Stoic universe and don't hesitate to check out the suggested videos that will appear right here. Remain anchored in wisdom and, of course, remain stoic.